And there we are. I'll tell you what, we got another big live show tonight. I think last week was maybe a little kind of calm before the storm, but we've got a lot to discuss on tonight's show. Glad to have Buddy Sanjay with me, of course, longtime Baton Rouge Sports Talk legend. You can hear him every day on the TuneIn app at from 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the show. Of course, we're brought to you each week by Pride Roofing. And a bunch of guys have been jumping on that offer that we talk about each week. You need to grab that. Pride Roofing, you give them a call at the number here on the board and tell them you heard about them on TigerBait. They'll come out and give you a free roofing inspection. And with that free roof inspection, they're going to give you TigerBait, an annual subscription to TigerBait for 1 year. So we've got a lot to talk about. We usually go about 55 minutes to an hour. We got basketball, baseball. We got a Title IX report about to blow out tomorrow. Of course, we know what happens in politics with a Friday news dump. I don't think this is any different. There's a reason why I think it's rolling out on a Friday. I've talked to different people today. They're a little nervous. I'm one of those people in the camp that, like, even if it's bad, you know, I don't know who it affects. Does it only affect people who haven't been at LSU for a while? So we can discuss that. We'll take all your questions. So how's it going, buddy?
Well, I brought the props tonight. Chicks dig the long ball. You know, last Thursday I was one of the first to say, you know what? I think Dylan Cruz is going to blow away Alex Bregman's hitting stats. Man. And the guys, the LSU hitting 21 home runs right now. It's kind of nice to see Gorilla Ball, but this is a classic. This is a long, an old shirt. Chicks dig the long ball, so we're enjoying that. Basketball, up and down, yo-yo. When they're good, they're real good. When they're bad, you're pulling your teeth and your hair out. And then, of course, football, some pictures starting to come out, fourth quarter program. We can see, we can touch it, spring football in less than 2 weeks. I just got some news on the UCLA game, and that nothing is definitive, but Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is now soliciting double mask. And it seems like they're just grabbing power and power and power. And so now he, as you know, is getting recalled, and they have millions of votes to recall him. We'll see how that goes. And then, of course, the big drama with Les and Joe Leva and F. King Alexander and Drake Davis and Darius Geis. And so, look, what I'm hearing from people is people just want to hear it. They're tired of it hanging over their head. Let's get it out there. We'll see how LSU handles it with their response, and we'll see if some of these things are really as bad as if they've been intimated.
You know, I read the Advocate report today, Brooks Cabina and whatever the other girl's name, and I find it, you know, University of Kansas has a copy of a report. They were given a copy of it. And of course, I know I've got several friends in the Kansas media that I could have reached out to see what they were hearing. If there was any chance that there was more people leaking or talking about the report early than anything we're getting here. So typically when you release news on a Friday, it's because it's bad and you want to get to the weekend and let the news cycle play out and people enjoy their weekend. It looks like, assuming we're going to have beautiful weather like we've had the last few days. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that want it over and done with. But look, you still got other things out there. And so we can talk about that. And you mentioned basketball being up and down. You know, having run a website for so many years, I've got metrics and views and things I can look at to determine what the fans are interested in. And LSU baseball shouldn't be outdrawing the views that I'm getting for our coverage of baseball over basketball. And it kind of tells me, especially a week out from an SEC tournament, still got Missouri on Saturday. Baseball hosting Oral Roberts, those videos with Maneri and Nolan Cain, et cetera, shouldn't be outdrawing Will Wade doing press conferences. I find that kind of staggering right now. I think people are exhausted by the basketball team.
Well, Sharif O'Neal announced today he will miss the rest of the season. Of course, Shaq's son, and it's a shame. He's battled some heart issues early on in his college career. And you got to give a tip of the hat to somebody that wants to come over here. I remember the Maravich's sons, and that's a tough legacy to Billy Cannon Jr. didn't do it. He went to Texas A&M, as you know, with your friend Bucky Richardson. But lo and behold, there's a lot of things that are starting to leak out about Les had blondes, fit, good-looking women, hostesses on recruiting. He had that implicated with him at Okie State. There are a lot of other things being thrown out there. A lot of people think that LSU will throw some people under the bus to see if as a whole. But look, we heard all this stuff, and we heard the rumors, but none of us, you don't know it to the point where you can definitively say that's what really happened. So it'd be interesting to see what the report reveals.
Yeah, AYS, our buddy Blake Ruffino gives us a what's up. My friend Nicole in Lafayette says she likes my shirt. All right, Nicole, appreciate that. Buddy's also wearing blue tonight. Hey guys, Shannon Williams. There you go. And let's see. Not really doing good. No commits in a while. Joseph Thaddeus Giot. No, but some interesting offers today. Now both of Verge Alsbury's sons have scholarship offers. Austin, the class of 2022 defensive back, got an offer today. I saw him about a month or so ago at Rohan Davies 7-on-7 workouts, and I thought he looked fantastic. They were playing at this facility that's like an indoor soccer facility, and he hit the wall so hard he broke the door off the hinges. And it didn't even faze him, hit him right in the ribs. So he's tough like his dad. So, yeah, and then got the kid up at Cam Franklin up at Oak Grove, got an offer today, class of 2023 athlete. We're going to have that full story blown out on him tonight. I know Preston's, I think, on the phone with Austin Alsbury right now, so we'll have that story for you tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of recruiting stuff for you today. I got some Quentin Wiggins from Madison Prep info coming tomorrow. So you want to be subscribed to TigerBait.com. And like I always tell you guys, get the annual subscription. You save 3 months. And do us a favor on this show tonight. Will you hit the like button, share, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook? Very much appreciated when you guys do that for us. It helps with the algorithm. And so please like, share on your Facebook or YouTube, and hit the notification bell on both, so that way when we go live, you get alerted. So,
and this class is going to be so good, Mike. What are they at for 2022? 9 or 10?
Yeah, was it 9?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you got to feel like the numbers are going to slow down a little bit just because of that.
Yeah, 10 now. 10 now. And I think we're about to get good news. I mean, I've been just everything about LSU football I've been optimistic about. But I think now that we've seen what's going on in different states, we're moving forward in Louisiana. More and more people I personally know are getting the vaccine. I think after the May 31st dead period, I think we're going to have June football camps like normal. I think you're going to start having unofficial and official visits on campus this summer. I think all that stuff is about to start happening. Now we just wait to see what March 16th around the corner in the start of spring football, if we're going to have access. Hopefully we do. I put in a word to supposedly the person in the LSU athletic department, begging them to at least, if anything, give us access to the outdoor when they go outdoors. And usually they're always outdoors unless it's rain. So we'll wait to see what we get on that. So
I'll wear a mask to go out to practice for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I will.
I mean, you got to wear them everywhere. Although, as we know, Texas and other bordering states are starting to loosen that up a little bit.
Well, we're all Neanderthals down here.
Well, no, I don't want to get into the politics and how slow we are to come around on that because of the blue-red situation. But it was a little disconcerting because I know a lot of people want to make that trip to the Rose Bowl because everybody had that bucket list on the table, and then UCLA upset USC.
And that is not an inexpensive trip.
No, it's a pricey trip.
So if you wait and wait and wait for Newsom to do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
You know, the airfare is what it is now. We think gas prices are going to continue to escalate, which means air prices are going to escalate. So it eventually, the longer this goes, the more expensive that trip's going to end up being for LSU fans.
Scott Woodward was interviewed by different media people, and there was some talk about moving that game to Las Vegas. He said right now they're planning on playing it. Oh, by the way, UCLA is going to play Hawaii now. They moved a game ahead of Hawaii to get the kinks out to play in Hawaii at the Rose Bowl. I hope it works out, but I'd love to see how many thousand fans you think would go out there. 10 or 15, maybe more.
I think they would max out. I think all the tickets would be gone.
Well, I don't know how many tickets they'd have.
But I talked to a buddy of mine who runs the USC runs a USC site. Of course, but he says if it was wide open and there was no restrictions, he believes the Rose Bowl would be sold out for this.
Yeah,
time.
I know, but I don't think California's going to be wide open in September.
No, but
now Alabama, as you know, the AD came out this week and said, "Hey, we're planning on having 100% capacity." I think LSU is going to get there, but it just depends on, because as we alluded to, a little slower to get to the realistic aspect of. Look, we got to live again. We got to get life back. People got to tailgate again. People got to enjoy sporting events. And if all those people get vaccinated, bye.
Yeah, but is John Bel Edwards going to be the last governor in the South at each one of these steps to follow suit?
One of the last.
Okay.
Probably. I mean, But I feel the pain for those fans out there. And it's good that 50% now with the Phase 3, more people can go out and watch the baseball team now.
Angelia asks, if what was written about Miles in the paper today is true, do you think LSU did enough?
Exactly what did they spit out today? He was kissed one girl twice, couple other things. They had good-looking hostesses. What? I mean,
I think they read him the riot act, and I would love to know the time frame of that. What was the time frame of where he was at in the contract? What I do remember, I remember the time period, because I remember we were hearing the rumors, and we were also hearing that Miles was pretty shook up, because it was the same exact time that the stuff with Petrino was going down at Arkansas, and he was worried that something similar might be happening to him. And I don't know that LSU bent over backwards to keep him. But what this also shows you too, folks, is the messaging and the branding. And, look, I don't want to say I was a nega-tiger for years on TigerBait, but there was Les Miles, as far as I was concerned in covering him, he had run his course years before. When that 2015 came around and they kept him for another year, which basically kept him for another 4 games, that was ridiculous.
You wanted Jimbo.
It was just he had outworn his welcome, and look, all the stuff about him, being cognitive, the cognitive issues, that was going on back then. But look, I don't want to pile on Les Miles. He's been long gone. But I think either way, though, when you look at this time frame, that's 2012, 2013. Next year is 10 years. Mm-hmm. So if you're worried about, in my mind, look, there could be a lot more to this report. There's been names in the paper for months that people who are still employed at LSU that people said, oh, that person's in dire straits or whatever. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow. But when you talk about today's article, Leave is long gone, living in Florida, the only thing at Kansas is, are they looking at this and saying, this is our opportunity to make a move on Miles and not have to pay him a nickel?
Well, see, that's what you're going to
get. To me, that's an opportunity for them.
But this is what you're going to get back with Les. If all this stuff was going on, guess what? He got a big, fat contract. If you remember, speaking of Arkansas, his friend Jeff Long planted, said, hey, we want to talk to him at Arkansas, after he had called him Arkansas, and Oliva gave him all that money. And so, look, to what extent did he do? It also came out that, he was flirting and all this other stuff. I mean, look, a lot of people are going to get thrown under the bus, and we'll just have to wait and see. Right. I will tell you this, though. Darius Guy's situation, Drake Davis' situation, all that other stuff. I mean, this is a complicated thing. And right now, USA Today, for whatever reason, is trying to make this thing into a Penn State or a Baylor or whatever, and it's not that.
I'll wrap it up with this. This stuff with Miles right here, based on other things I've heard, is the minimum stuff.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, listen, he's not the only coach in the country to have good-looking hostesses.
But people can be watching this saying, "Oh, well, you're talking about it now when he's long gone." It's real bold of you. No, it's just it's one of those things where it's like, you can't. You hear the rumors. You can't put it all together. You would. And it's a loser from a local media guy to touch a lot of this stuff, particularly when you can never really nail it down. I mean, they've got non-disclosure agreements. I don't think you will ever see this stuff see the light of day without a court order. And how are you going to get a court order for that?
Yeah.
Mark Emmert's not going to touch that. That's why I think it could be a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Time to move on, Mark Chambers says. Yeah, I think a lot of us do, and between that and the Funes stuff, and we're still waiting to see what's going to be the outcome of Will Wade. We're still waiting to see if the NCAA is going to accept LSU's self-imposed sanctions with the 8 scholarships. Of course, they added their own bowl ban for this past season after going 5-5. So, and Esteban agrees and says, 100% agree, buddy. Definitely need to get life back to normal.
And of course, obviously, look, I've had a lot of people that and in fact, I apologize to Nola. Of course, I knew Dan and went to school with Dan many, many years ago, and we lost him and Steve Carter and all that. So listen, Robert Ruffino over at Sherwood Magnolia, I mean, look, some people, the Lord has called them home because of COVID. But on the other hand, we know that there was a lot of illegitimacy with some of the things reported, and it did become a big political issue. And so we're not lamenting on the fact, just like we're not lamenting on the fact who had a mom and daddy had a girl that was implicated and is implicated at LSU with all this stuff that happened with the bad boys. I mean, this is some treacherous territory to tread down, but I'm ready to get it out there and move on. But I'll just say, as what I said last week, Les was definitely a trauma or a player, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. And I think between that and his, image of being squeaky clean, and I never really bought him being a player's coach either. I think there's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors in what the public saw and what was presented.
Well, the other thing to add, the last comment I have, when you're winning, okay, do you think when Harvey Williams got stopped on the interstate going 102, the fact that he was a star tailback, what happens if me and you got a blind in our lap going 102 tonight?
Yeah.
We go to jail. I mean, look, winners, players, coaches, you get the perk and you get the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately, this is going to be ugly tomorrow. We don't know how ugly.
Brant Roban, who wins the next national championship? LSU football, basketball, or baseball? Who'd have the highest odds? Basketball would be last.
They've never won a game in the Final Four, men or women basketball, so that's certainly going to happen. Football, man, until Saban retires, I hate to say it. I just don't, unless you find another Joe Burrow, that was the whole key, granted. You got to have a quarterback that's gonna put pressure on his defense and have a swagger and a presence and a confidence that
I bet the odds would be similar between football and baseball.
I just think it's harder to win it in football right now, simply because.
But I mean, who would win it the soonest? Not in the coming year or two. I probably would go football, just knowing what's coming down the pike with the great quarterbacks battles you're going to have. Walker Howard, the class of 2022, 23 is looking to be very good. So I don't know. I like the trajectory of where LSU's at. So, but look, we've been talking about new coordinators and new coaches. A lot of excitement. We'll see if we're still saying similar things this time next year about those hires and how well they've panned out. I'm optimistic. So,
well, I'll just say this: both of those coaches we're talking about, Coach Maneri and Coach Ogeron, have won national championships. The only problem is that even though Ed won one a couple years ago, that honeymoon is over. After last year, and let's be honest, Paul Maneri and LSU baseball fans expect to get to Omaha and expect to do something this year. They've got an incredible amount of young talent. They've got a deep pitching staff, but that SEC is brutal. So I don't know. I'm waiting for gymnastics to win one. They keep finishing second. Obviously, beach volleyball is really good. Track and field's always got a shot, but man, look, these national championships, I don't know.
I still have never been to a gymnastics meet.
Oh man,
have you been one?
Yeah, I've been to one, and they are really Well, now, I went when Dee Dee was here. I hadn't been with Jay Clark and all, of course, the limited. But it is quality family entertainment. It really is. Great for the kids.
Phantom 70815. That's my old zip code. You must be from the Sherwood Forest area. Buddy, would you consider co-hosting with Hannah Griff if offered the opportunity? People are trying to find a co-host for Hannah Griff.
Oh, man. Charlie is good enough to do a show by himself. But Charlie and I have not done... Gosh, I mean, we've done a little bit together.
When was that? IBR?
Yeah, that was it. Would go so many years back, but obviously I'm on the back end of my career, and Charlie's still got plenty of years. But it'd be fun. But look, Gordy's got plenty of substitutes. I know they're glad that they finally found T-Bob a partner with Jacob Hester.
All right, here's the official attorney of TigerBait.com, Tiger Shark on Tiger Den. Kenneth Haynes, he said, did I call it right, Mike, when I said the newspaper would get the info? Huh. I don't know.
Wait, well, get me up to snuff.
Well, the info of, what's going to happen with Les and the report and so forth. So we'll see. Maybe.
Well, look, we talked about it.
Kenny, give me a little bit more information. Jog my memory. Angelia, Coach O sure is selling this year's team. I know it's his job to be a cheerleader, but is he overselling?
Well, I'll say this. Who's that, Angelia?
Yeah.
Okay. Last year, Coach O said very early, this defense is better than anything we saw last year. I know I do a bad Coach O, but and then last...
You said it was the best I've ever had?
We just said it was better than one the previous year.
Yeah.
And, of course, it was a nightmare. Remember Les Miles said, best offensive line we've ever had over here? And they gave up 39 sacks, and they were horrific. Look, I don't think you can predict who's going to opt out, who's going to be healthy, who's going to mesh, who's going to be the starting quarterback, who's going to be the starting tailback, all the things that you have going on. But I do think that it's going to be interesting to see. Is he overselling it? None of us know. Me and you think they're going to win 9 or 10. Is that good enough for the fan base?
I think it is after 5-5. So I think LSU's solely in number 2 in the West. I didn't buy A&M last year. I think had Max Johnson started that game, they would have beat A&M. I'm not going to buy A&M. And I like the way LSU stacks up the rest of the way. I do think Ole Miss can probably be dangerous next year. But I think every game next year besides Alabama, LSU will be favored.
Yeah.
So
probably. And right now, there's not a program, as you alluded to, that LSU fans think that they should lose to. They don't think they should lose to Auburn or Ole Miss.
And when does LSU beat Alabama? They usually beat them in Tuscaloosa. So you get Auburn, Florida, A&M at home. You're on the road in Tuscaloosa. Of course, UCLA on the road, new coaches, and so we'll see how that happens. I want to talk about Pride Roofing, and when I first start, I want to give a shout out to Mike Faraday, grandbaby born yesterday. Truett Halen Faraday was born. I'm thinking, is that Halen middle name for Van Halen? I hope it is. 7.8 pounds, big kid, long arms. Might be a future LSU athlete. We'll see. So congratulations to him. But definitely want to thank Pride Roofing for being a sponsor of TigerBait.com each week. Of course, they've got you covered if you're in Sulphur, Lake Charles, all the way to Mobile. They're in Gulfport, real big in the Florida parishes and the North Shore. So if you're anywhere between Texas and Mobile, Pride Roofing has you covered. Give them a call, 225-275-2041. If you say you saw them on TigerBait.com, when they come out and give you a free roofing inspection, they're going to give you an annual subscription to TigerBait for free. They're footing the bill. So a lot of people have jumped on that deal. Encourage you to do so. Tell them you heard about it on TigerBait.com. They've got enough shingles in that yard to do over 100 roofs. Best labor warranty in the business, over 5 years. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They manufacture a lot of their components. They're not using any builder grade materials. I've seen some of the machinery there. They've made huge investments. So give Pride Roofing a call. Nobody's better than Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, And I tell you, I say it every week. I enjoy having sponsors that I grew up with and I can vouch for. And grew up with Mike Faraday and the whole Faraday family. And phenomenal people, as is his partner, Alex Martinez. So Pride Roofing, give them a call. Get your free subscription TigerBait through them, and very much appreciate them being a sponsor of the show every week.
Well, we had one of my listeners, PFM. Of course, he loves coming in here with us as well. And he called him, and obviously they started the discussion, and they met and started doing some business. And of course, a job well done is a job done with pride. And Mike, you talk about him, and I'm getting more and more people telling me about him. We even gave him a shout out on the radio show yesterday. So
yeah, and his subscription went live this morning, so he's good for till next year with a free TigerBait subscription. So jump all that, and again, congratulations to Mike and Tammy and their new grandbaby, Truett Faraday. Let's see. I want to get some more of your questions here. Okay, let me see. Did Kenny? Let's see this. Lamar Stevens, does the national media believe it has the power to get a coach fired despite what fans say? Remember Oliva in the PMAC while LSU was winning a regular season SEC title? I don't know that they believe that, but I think they believe they can put pressure. So we're going to see how this pans out tomorrow. But, I wonder if any of the people that, as stuff had trickled out, and of course the 2 USA Today reports last fall of the names that were mentioned in the story, if any of those folks are in trouble.
Yeah. Well, look, like I said, we keep going back to this thing, but Les Oliva, F. King Alexander, there's going to be a lot of pressure thrown on those guys. Look, we all know the national media is not been a fan of Will Wade. And some of the things that they put out, including Dick Vitale, basically, let's be honest, putting a hole in the recruiting with Sissy, and that went to hell in the handbasket. And it's happened before, a lot of these national media, but let's just see.
I mean, look, in reality, if you think about it, the NCAA, and of course COVID has a part of it, that committee not being able to meet to discuss LSU. But in reality, LSU's been on probation for 2 years because of this lingering over the program. I mean, you're a month away from the second, signing period for the 21 recruiting class, and it's still hanging over Will Wade, and it's being negatively recruited against LSU.
Sure.
Think of some of the players when you're looking, and LSU's kind of been aggravated with their play this year and some missing pieces. Think about some of the guys that they could have had in the program that they were actually leading for. And every time the kid was about to make a decision, here comes Dick Vitale's big mouth or something new in the newspaper. So, Brett Hunter asks about the capacity. We talked about that. I'm at 50 to 75%. You think they'll be 100% by the end of the year?
I do. I think that I've talked to some people, and they feel like at some point they will get back to 100%. And look, we see it. It's so frustrating when you see it all with the surrounding states. And I know that Texas and other people. Oh, by the way, our aforementioned Gavin Newsom was taking shots at Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas. You know where everybody is leaving California and going to? Texas. So bottom line is that I just hope we get enough people vaccinated. Like we said last week, there's a confidence and we can get back because, look, I don't mind watching my golf without the fans. Of course, Ryder Cup's a different story, but football, basketball, baseball, these cardboard fans, all this other stuff, I think we had enough of that. I think we need to get back to some semblance or normalcy. And the other thing, of course, with the politics thrown in with the sports, we don't want politics in our sports, and we want normalcy back to sports. And I hope that that's not too much to ask for September 2021.
Yeah, I find it. There's still people out there that debate the vaccine and whether they want to get it or not. And after having 2 relatives die from it in the last 2 months, I want to get it. So Whether it's the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson, maybe that's up for debate for me, but as soon as my age range is eligible to get it, I'm getting it. So, all right. Anything you wanted to discuss, buddy, that we hadn't got to yet?
Well, we just kind of watching the baseball team develop a little bit. I've got some listeners and callers that are all fired up, and then other ones that are cognizant of the fact that they're not doing this against SEC pitching. So that's going to be fun to follow this year. Obviously, with John Bell putting the state in phase 3, we got 50%, and I'm hoping that it gets bigger down the road there. I think they're going to assess that again at the end of the month. Basketball, most people 8, 9, or 10. And what you do, even if you win that game, you play a 1 or 2 seed the second game. So I don't think they're going too far. Just so much inconsistency with teamwork and defense and all the other things. And then, of course, as we said, the spring football. Now, look, you were on the show and you were kind of throwing some shade towards Miles Brennan, but I think I like Miles Brennan 225, 228 range.
Well, I'm just getting a kick out of it because when he arrived and we were always talking about him eating and
eating 8 meals a day and not gaining any weight.
And I kind of at his age when he arrived at LSU, I was the same way. I couldn't gain weight to save my life, and I know they were telling him you got to eat thousands of calories a day, and it really gets nauseating to try and consume that many calories. But now it's caught up with him, and it's probably caught up when about the same age it did me. But
his guns are as big as yours right now. He has been pumping it now.
Yeah, I joked yesterday. Said when he arrived, I was calling him Olive Oil and Ichabod Crane, and now I'm calling him Fat Albert, and just having some fun with him. But I don't think it's going to take him long to get in shape. There was that one unflattering picture. You said it was a bad angle, him sitting at that dinner table. Then we see the other picture of him yesterday that LSUsports.net put out of him working out. But he's definitely barrel-chested, and he's got some heft to him. So is he closer to 230 than he is 220 or 215? I don't know, but I think he does need to get a little leaner. I'll say that.
Well, I want to see what Jake Peets and DJ Mangus and the rest of the guys that are going to be in the offensive arsenal, what do they want? I just like it in college ball to have a little run-pass option. And I thought one of the things that Miles didn't do great last year was feel the poise in the pocket. And he was a little stiff. And then when he did make the decision to run, he wasn't running away from anybody. Max Johnson, I thought, was a better runner. And when that pocket collapses, man, nobody knows how you're going to react. I don't care if you're T.J. Finley, Max Johnson, Garrett Nussmeier, or Miles Brennan. And so, but we know he's got all the big arm and can make all the throws. And so I continue to say, I just hope we're out there to see a little bit. Not that we're going to see anything detailed, but you want to be able to see how they're carrying themselves and the reps and all the other stuff. Great question.
Because if we don't get out there, we're all using the same video package, and LSU gets to, I like to go out there and say, the first couple of days, everybody makes a beeline for the quarterbacks, the new coaches, getting photos of the newcomers, the freshmen that were midterm grads. We got a little game plan. But after about the third or fourth practice, I'm like, today I'm just going to go shoot the safeties. Or today I'm going to focus my video camera on this group and this and that. And that's how you get some unique things from a guy who runs a website. And so that's what I'm hoping for. But
and I love that because, sometimes with me doing the show, like I'm at Greystone today, so I can't get to LSU for 3:40 or 3:45 with traffic.
Yep.
And if I did miss practice, it was so awesome to be able to go to TigerBait. And as you said, it's not the canned feel-good stuff that LSU sends out. Y'all did a great job with all that, and we enjoy it. And the question that Angelina asked, it's pretty interesting. I mean, are they overselling this team, or is it really going to be competitive to compete with Bama and fend off the A&Ms and everybody else that are playing for second? And who knows how good Alabama's going to be? Now, they've been recruiting. They should be incredible, but look, Mac Jones is getting rave reviews. 2 of the last star wide receivers have both said Mac Jones was better. They preferred him over Tua. Some people thinking the Saints, you mentioned Russell Wilson last week, if the Saints were not to sign Jameis Winston, they might draft Mac Jones in the first round.
I don't cover the Saints like you do, so just real quick. Cutting loose the punter today and his big salary.
Yeah.
Is that any sign that they're trying to make room? That they're trying to get some money in that salary to make a move, to make an offer on Russell Wilson?
No, because they got a lot of problems with their cap, and they just can't afford. Jared Cook and other guys got.
Well, besides money, but also they'd have to offer draft picks.
I just keep hearing that Russell Wilson and Sierra are not going to be coming to the Big Easy.
Of course, then you got all the Drew Brees speculation out there. So
why hasn't he announced yet? I mean, we're waiting.
Someone said it's already been done. They just don't understand what the holdup is. And look, just because he's out there pushing a sled, don't mean that he's coming back. I think he's going to be a guy that stays in shape and works out the rest of his life.
Great athlete too.
He's just that kind of guy. So, is Coach O on the hot seat this year? Mark Chambers asks.
Good question, Frenchie. I think it depends on how they look as a football team, because last year, when everybody went to the stadium and it was such a crazy year, you got the COVID and you got all the things, and Derek Stingley inexplicably doesn't play in the first game. They throw a kid out there that had been at LSU 2 weeks and having to guard all these people, and you give up 600-plus yards passing. And here it is, Coach O. It said, oh man, this defense, talking about the defense of Pelini. But I'm excited about this injection of young coaches, and I'm excited about getting everybody back. We thought there'd be 7 to 10. Speaking of Brooks Cabina, he put it up there a bunch of times. So they're gonna have 9 and more leave and all this other stuff. But
if 8 and 4 is that would not be acceptable.
No. He's not on the hot seat this year. But if he doesn't win at least 8 games, then I would think 2022 would be really a big year for him. But
I think finishing with the 2 wins, COVID year, everything that was happened, so documented. I think people I think people think about where you were in July and I just want to see football. I don't care. I think certainly there was some games where you're just like, that was disgusting and it made people aggravated. You didn't like the way LSU performed and the early losses, and I think he gets a big mulligan for last year. But I think the expectations are through the roof for this year. So.
Yeah. And look, the players are there. He was talking about Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy, all those guys back. He got some guys coming in, Sage Ryan. Eli Ricks has stabilized his situation. I don't know anybody that's got 2 better corners than Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks. Do you?
And he's got team. I think he's got good leadership. And I think some of the guys. I think it's addition by subtraction as well. I think there's some guys who, are going to the pros and this and that were not good in the locker room. So I think that's going to bode well for LSU. So.
Well, I'll say this to Mark Chambers now. It starts with UCLA. We were talking about this the other day, and I don't know where the game will be played or if it comes out without any problems and they play it in the Rose Bowl. But LSU's going to be probably, 7-8 point favorite in that game? I guarantee you LSU will be the favorite there. And, you can't stub your toe like they did in that opener last year.
No.
And I have all the confidence in the world that these new coaches, and no disrespect to those older guys, but they got long in the tooth, and Bo Pelini had no business being hired at LSU, and for damn sure not for $2.3 million a year.
Yeah.
So, and Scott Woodward, that was a big mess. And Scott Linehan, come on, replacing a young guy like Joe Brady with Scott Linehan, that had accident all written on it. So I know these new guys, neither one of the coordinators have been play callers and coordinators, but I'm excited because you know what? There's no tape to look at them. They could really be pretty special.
When Linehan was hired, it was like, and he started digging around. It was like there was no stop on his resume where the people in that city were upset that he left.
Dallas Cowboy people hated him.
I mean, Gerard Bryan, hey Mike, does it look like Coach O locking up the state of Louisiana since he's been head coach, and we continue to recruit 5-star offensive linemen? No doubt. Obviously, offensive line is a big need in this class. Got Bo Bordelon committed. You know, you got Will Campbell on board. You got Lucas Taylor in Mobile, St. Paul's on board. Emory Jones is a heavy lean LSU. I think it's just a matter of time. He's going to want to take some visits. But he's highly involved with that whole group of Will and Bo and Walker Howard. They all communicate super kid. And you talked about it before we started the show because Emory had tweeted something and I went to go see what it was. And he said, man, do we know what's going on with the Catholic High coaching job? We're still, that's a big interest there. They just opened up a new multi-million-dollar athletic facility right there with a weight room and everything. So
that's one of the best high school jobs in the state right now.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of coaches that want that gig. And you got local coaches that have Catholic High ties. I mentioned Shane Savoy at St. Thomas More is someone that, maybe they would talk to or maybe he might, apply for the job. So it's a highly desirable job. Frankly, I was kind of shocked that Fertitta left. That's a job you can coach the rest of your life and retire, particularly with the public-private split. It's tailor-made for you to win state championships more often than not.
Well, Gabe came over from New Orleans, did a great job with the Bears, and to beat J.T. Curtis the first time you play him in the state championship, that's something he'll never, ever forget. And so kudos to the Bears. But look, man, he's moving on up like the Jeffersons, I mean, some people want to go up the next level. And just like Joe Brady, he stayed in college 1 year with LSU, wanted to go and went to the pros. And the guy was getting head coaching interviews this year, inexplicably after 1 year, and didn't necessarily do a great job. But these coaches aspire, and Mike, perks and money, who knows with the family situation, but I'll say this, that Catholic High job is an excellent opportunity for somebody to come in here. Gabe is not going to leave them empty-handed. There'll be a ton of talent over there, as you know. You love that Sampson kid.
Joseph Giat, who starts the slot quarterback spot. He thinks it's Ward or McLaughlin. What's your take?
Jay Ward, when he was healthy, played some good football. McLaughlin, I thought, should have been playing more. What was the kid from Nichols? Darren Adams that they came in and threw him in there in that first game. I felt so bad for him. Stingley was out. Ward was hurt. And that's the thing.
I have never seen DBs get hurt like that in numbers.
But you can't ever have enough corners and DBs in this league.
But when have you ever seen DBs have that rash? I've never seen that.
Yeah.
We have that many DBs hurt in a season. That's usually not a position where you have that.
And Sage Ryan.
That just goes along with what a crazy, awful year it was.
Sage Ryan's going to get a look-see, but hey, don't forget, folks, the name that everybody's talking about, Derek Davis, is a guy that's turning some heads. Mason Smith turning some heads. So you combine all those guys that played last year and got the redshirt year because of the COVID, you got a lot of freshmen on this LSU football team.
Yeah. So what is your biggest? You asked me yesterday, so I'm going to ask you. What positions when you go out to practice, they let us in? What are the ones that you're most curious about, or have the biggest question marks for you?
Boy, I tell you, we look at and we start at the quarterback spot because I last week said I was president of the Max Johnston fan club, and of course you and Rufino are sharing each week the VP and the pres of TJ Finley. Miles is going to have something to do about that. I like Max because I think you got a little more versatility with the run-pass option, but Miles is going to certainly get a lot of reps to start. I want to see what tailback is going to get to the start of the season. And LSU's always going to have running back by committee at tailback, but I want to see what guy, John Emery, the way he played against Alabama, wasn't that the way you expected him to play ever since he came? And he really didn't do that. So consistency.
What's bad was like I kind of took a shot at him on right before he took off on that play. Like, man, and then all of a sudden, like, he made me eat my words. But
that's the way we thought he was going to play the whole year. There was no consistency. Yeah. Obviously, O-line, can James Craig get 10? That's too deep at every spot on the front line. Defense, look, man, you gotta cover better. Linebacker play was horrific last year, other than Jabril Cox making some plays. And so the nickel and the safeties had a bad year. And look, one thing about it, we were talking about Cade York. I mean, this guy is going to go down. If he continues the way he did last year, he's going to go down as greatest kicker LSU. Do you people realize what happened in that Florida game? That was the key to turning the season back and making fans think LSU could win again. I'm telling you, man, I had it. Everybody had it. It was that negative mindset that they could go 3-7, and then all the other stuff could happen. So that was a big kick. But I think LSU's got talent and numbers. The question is how much coaching, how much chemistry, how much gelling, and then the good luck stuff, injuries and that kind of stuff.
By the way, guys, I got a little alert here a little while ago saying that we had blinked on Facebook. If you were on Facebook, let me know how bad that was. How long did it go? It shows I'm reconnected now, so those on you on YouTube weren't affected, but let me know what it looked like on Facebook if you don't mind. Let's see. Let me get some more questions here. Esteban's got a good question. Of course, Esteban's with us each week. Super guy, big LSU fan. Esteban, who are you looking forward to seeing during the pro day?
I want to see what Jamar Chase runs the 40 in, obviously. I think you and I have talked about this.
Tyler Shelvin?
Don't you think Chase is going to go before Devonta Smith if he runs 4.48?
I just think when NFL people really get to, when they start, it's the gap between the end of the season and when they start doing their homework and they start looking at Jamar Chase physically and then going back and watching the film of him, not just 19 but 18.
Yeah. He's special.
Yeah. And then when they come for pro day and he's standing in front of them, he's just, physically he's probably similar to early Doucette, but faster.
Yeah.
I mean, early was a big guy. So, and Jamar's just a physical beast and can run.
You mentioned Tyler Shelvin. Me and my co-host and producer, Taylor Sharp, we had a little fun and I asked him what he thought he'd weigh on pro day, and Taylor said 380. I said 355. I'm just hoping that.
See, now I'd heard some reports a month or so ago that he had trimmed up. So
yeah, I'm hoping he's got himself in shape.
Me too.
Because look, he's got the talent. He is a load to block, but not at 370 or 380.
Gilbert, back in the portal. What'd you think of that when that rolled out Sunday?
Well, obviously, this young man has a lot going on with his life, and nothing is real simple. And he, once again, has made a decision to leave Florida, and we know it's been up and down. And look, I'm not going to get into all of the rumors about him, but I will just say that not everybody is as focused, and not everybody is as consistent with their behavior. And I mean, you know friends. Some people are bipolar. Some people are this. Some people are that.
And that's just it. This is what I want to tell people. I can tell you, and there's a reason why the media really isn't hammering that kid. It's because he's not a prima donna. He needs to get right and see, get the right help, and hopefully he gets on track, because what happened at LSU and now Florida, that's not going to stop until he gets situated right. So yeah. I'll leave it at that. Just know when you see him being erratic, it's not because he's a prima donna, and it's not that.
Yeah.
So
got some issues.
Yeah. Brett Allen, further the point of you in the Florida win, that shoe throw literally turned our season around. Imagine the players that leave if that team had went 3-7.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was going down that hill, and everybody was going like, "Well, we're going to be taken down to 3-7," and then of course Max Johnson and as we
it
said,
was just one. I mean, think about till that game, and then of course beating Ole Miss. Think about the stretch of constant bad negative news. It was, LSU went, and then compared to the year before, it was everything that was LSU was just the best in the world. And then last year, it was a complete 180. It was like LSU bizarro world. And that Florida win, and then wrapping up with 2 straight wins, I think was good for LSU. And then making a move on Pelini right away, as soon as the season was over with, and getting new coaches in. I think it's got a lot of people upbeat. But we still have this episode tomorrow and some few other things to wade through in the LSU world. So,
but the thing that I want to add to that, Mike, is that there was such a disconnect last year with coaches and players. And I go back to Jerry DiNardo when he was at the end, and he was telling, don't you trust this guy? And everybody got paranoid.
oh, he was paranoid beyond.
Everybody got paranoid, and so the players didn't want to talk to the media. They didn't want to talk to. I mean, it was just a big mess. And I bring that to use the example. Last year was a hot mess, and there's no two ways about it. Coach O was foggy. He had a lot going on in his personal life. COVID was something that nobody had ever dealt with. Everybody got big and fat and heavy because they were away from. I mean, this was one of those things where everything that could go wrong, and it did. And here comes Max Johnson and those last two wins, and all of a sudden, as we said, all those assumptions about it going to hell in a handbasket. You got a little light when you saw that 57-yard field goal go through that fog and say, are you kidding me? Of course, now the Florida guy had to miss his 52-yarder for LSU to win it. And then the next week, Kayshon Boutte over 300 yards receiving. So once again, more promise. But the thing I want to mention, this team, and Stingley and his dad and a lot of people have already said it, they're a lot more together. They're communicating. They look at each other.
I believe it.
I know I said rah-rah, but I guarantee you, already I'm getting this team is back together as a team. And there was a very divisive. Look at all the stuff on social media last year that was thrown out there. You're not seeing any of that right now.
James Martin, hey, buddy, this is Hurricane. Looks like you're a regular on here. Now I won't miss. Go Tigers.
Good to see you, Hurricane. As I told you a couple weeks ago, if you missed that, I apologize. But, man, Hurricane used to be an awesome caller to my radio show. So, Hurricane, hope you're doing well. And I'm just going to say this, Hurricane. We don't want any more cold weather because that was ridiculous what we went to. Although he a country club, I should have called him to come stay over here that one night.
Well, yeah, I didn't know all you were dealing with until you sent me the pictures after the fact and after you cussed me out when I said it, when I was poo-pooing what you were dealing with.
I get a little spicy from time.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jeffrey Lewis, Buddy. Samuel Hassan said we look good on Facebook. Joseph Giat says Kayshon Boutte is better than Jamar Chase. And Bradley R. says Baskerville is LSU's best linebacker.
Well, look, he did get – Damon Clark just played really, really poor. He got to 18, and, that puts a little extra pressure. But Clark never seemed to fit. That was the other thing, too, the square peg in a round hole last year on defense. But Micah Baskerville has some potential. And you got this JC coming from the state of Mississippi that was a commit to Mississippi State, strong. You got some other linebackers coming in. I know Greg Penn the third and all these other guys. So I expect them to be appreciably better at linebacker. I just hope Damon Clark, because, when he wore 35, man, he was a beast when he was a sophomore. Last year wearing 18. And I get this all the time, and we never mentioned it. Do you like this tradition, 18 and 7, or do you think they wane it out? Because now they're giving two 18s, one for offense and one for defense, and some people think it kind of knocks it down a notch.
I just think if there's no clear-cut guy, why not skip a year? Or heck, why not a month into the season give it? Who cares if the
that's a jersey, though. I mean, look.
To me, if you don't have a clear-cut guy that you think holds up whatever your ideals and principles are for each one of those awards, skip a year, skip 2 years.
Well,
who says you have to give it out every year?
You know who's the expected choice of the 7 this year? Derek Stingley Jr.
Yeah, well, you give it to an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, so the 7, but the 18. Look, it was awesome with Caleb on Chase on defense and Cushenberry, who couldn't actually physically wear the number because of the rule with offensive linemen. Those two guys lived up to it, but that's a lot of pressure. And poor Chris Curry, here it is, never scored a touchdown at LSU. He's going to Utah. He was 18, and then Damon Clark had a bad year. So I don't know what they're going to do this year. I just know this. I want to see that defense where those Tiger fans, Mike, you go back to the Chinese Bandits for, 100 years, 50 years, whatever, 70 years. That's the pride and joy, man. When you give up 600-something to a quarterback that's never played in the SEC and the Pirate. Whew, that's a tough road to hoe.
All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We've gone a full 55 minutes. Go to TigerBait.com, subscribe. I've got a big update, new info coming on Quentin Wiggins from Madison Prep. Got an update with Austin Osbury, who got an offer from LSU tonight. So both of Verge Osbury's son for 2022 and 2023 have LSU offers. Kid from Oak Grove, I've got a story coming on him tomorrow as well. So we're going to have a lot of recruiting stuff on TigerBait tomorrow, as well as coverage of LSU Oral Robertson baseball this weekend, LSU Missouri on Saturday. And, of course, Pride Roofing, give them a call. Get your free roofing inspection. If you're anywhere in South Louisiana, from Sulphur, right at the border of almost to Orange, Texas, or all the way to Mobile, Alabama, we've got you covered with Pride Roofing. Have them come out and give you a free roofing inspection and tell them you saw it on TigerBait. Be sure to call the 225 number, 275-2041, and tell them you heard about it on TigerBait, and they're going to foot the bill for you to get TigerBait free for a year. So a lot of people have jumped on that bill, big promotion, and so much thanks to Pride Roofing. Thanks to you, buddy. You can listen. Tell them where they can listen to you every day.
Tune in 1 to 3 WUBR. By the way, real quick, 1 o'clock baseball tomorrow. They've got rain coming in, so they moved it to 1 o'clock. LSU makes up the Missouri game in basketball Saturday at 2. They'll play Oral Roberts all 3 games. Gymnastics still doing great things and trying to get some injuries. Look, it's going to be an exciting time. You expect them to make it to Omaha, or is it too early for you?
I think it's too early. I mean, look.
It's too early.
Think about how ugly it was after the loss to Air Force.
Oh.
And, of course, and I'm dealing with that on message boards and getting all my baseball buddies ranting and raving. And then they've won a bunch of games. And, of course, me having lived in Lafayette for 31 years, I really enjoyed that win over the Cajuns. And then the softball girls did it twice, so
yeah,
that was great. So
and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning is actually they have a streaming site that you can go and watch the proceedings with the.
That's another one. I haven't been out to a softball game in a while, and I think Beth Serena's got a good team. So
yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. So a lot going on. People always say, "Oh, this is the time of year this is when we're the busiest at TigerBait.com." I mean, you got all these, particularly once spring football cranks back up, and if we're given access, so we're covering basketball, baseball, football, recruiting. It never ends at TigerBait.com. So if you're an LSU fan, we want to have you as a premium subscriber. I'm on the message board day and night answering your questions. So go to TigerBait.com, get the annual subscription. You save money, and we'll be back here next Thursday night. Thanks to all of you for participating with us. Thanks to Pride Roofing, and we'll talk to you guys on the other side, and y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy the weather.